Today on Week in Review, one sector of the Northwest could be heavily affected by the trade war. Terrace began repairing a lengthy section of Thomas Street this week, and Terrace is also seeking ways to make money that don't involve the United States. Hello, I'm Cael Maslin, and thank you for joining us here on Week in Review, where we cover all of the news here in the Northwest from this past week. Some people are anticipating that one sector in the northwestern part of BC will be heavily affected as the trade war continues between Canada and the United States. Over to Damian Smith of CFTK-TV with more.
With the ongoing trade war between Canada and the United States, there has been many sectors targeted from President Donald Trump, and one industry that is under watch is aluminum, which Trump has put a 25% tariff on. And locally in the Northwest, Kitimat's economy, which holds Rio Tinto's smelter, is now under watch.
Kitimat especially has long been in this kind of boom and bust cycle. And the last thing we want to see right now is for people to potentially be losing jobs in Kitimat. And I have faith that they're going to do everything they can as a company to ensure that that doesn't happen. But, you know, they really are kind of relying on government to take the steps that are going to be necessary so that they don't have any pressure put on the company. You know, they might have to adjust prices. They might risk losing customers that are seeking alternative suppliers. It could lead us to very significant employment concerns. And I'm hoping that that's not the case.
And while Trump believes that America can create their own resources, Canada has been a long-time provider of aluminum for the United States, as they remain as America's biggest source of aluminum at 3.2 million tons last year, according to the U.S. International Trade Administration. In 2024, Canada supplied 58% of aluminum to the United States.
I am surprised that this is, you know, one of the industries that's being hit right now with these tariffs. It's not going to boost U.S. production because they're not there yet. They don't have access to the same amount of low-cost power, and there would be a massive capital investment that would be required for new plants.
And according to Rattay, these tariffs are going to have a similar effect to the carbon tax, which has been a big topic in the upcoming federal election. At the end of the day, though, the consumers will be the ones to feel the shift in the economy.
You know, the people that are most impacted by something like the carbon tax are rural, remote, northern communities and Indigenous communities, and we've seen that up north. You know, it affects everything because it's on the food that's grown, it's on the transportation to be able to get the food to us, all of those kinds of things, and it adds up, and those costs are just passed on to the consumer. So a tariff is going to basically work the same in theory.
From CFTK-TV, I'm Damian Smith.
The city of Terrace is currently in the midst of looking to join many other communities and find other ways to generate funds that doesn't involve our American neighbors.
With the general uncertainty surrounding the ongoing trade war between Canada and the United States, work is taking place in BC to try and make sure that the province isn't reliant on the U.S.'s businesses in order to keep their economy stable. And the city of Terrace is no different, as at the most recent city council meeting, an idea revolving around that particular subject was brought up.
Council put forward a motion that we look into how our procurements are done and making sure that if there's any way we can look into not utilizing a American business, we'll try to avoid that any way we can. So staff's going to bring back a report to us to see how that looks. You know, obviously when it comes to Terrace, we have not a great revenue source without industry, so we have to be careful with what we do because we don't really want to burden our taxpayer anymore. But I think it's wise of us to look to see how we can, how we're spending our money and where we're spending our money, and if there's ways we can do it better. So we'll look forward to that staff report to come back to us and see what we can do.
As of right now, there hasn't been a given date as to when the City of Terrace's staff might get that report finished, nor an exact indication as to what those different procurements might look like, or even what Canadian goods they will end up placing a major focus on in them. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin.
Last week, the Terrace RCMP got several reports that churches in the local area had been victimized by break-in enters. The churches that were affected by these crimes include the Thornhill Community Church, Alliance Church, Sacred Heart Church, Seventh-day Adventist, as well as the CRC Church. These crimes are suspected to have been committed sometime between 7 p.m. on March 12th and 6 a.m. on March 13th. Numerous items as well as cash were stolen from each location, and a white sedan is believed to be connected to the crimes. The Terrace RCMP are asking that anyone with any information that could lead to the discovery of who committed these crimes to give them a call at 250-638-7400. Starting this week, the City of Terrace got to work on improving a lengthy 800-meter section of Thomas Street. The section goes above Lanphier Hill and then stretches between Cooper Drive and Hallowell Avenue. The road surface has been in a degraded state and the existing water main needs replacing. The work in question will involve the water main getting replaced, some landscaping being done, some sanitary and storm sewer repairs, and even the addition of a multi-use pathway. While this construction is happening, traffic will be only one-way northbound, with some detours being available as well. Up next, the Old Mills Memorial Hospital is starting to get torn down. Welcome back. We shift over to Skeena MLA Claire Rattay, who has once again spoken out in Parliament on the toxic drug crisis, this time in regards to the BC budget. Here's Jaylene Matthews of CFTK-TV with more.
Skeena MLA Claire Rattay called out the new BC budget in legislature for its lack of supports in the toxic drug crisis.
On page 9 of the budget, the government proudly states, government continues to support the ongoing operations of over 3,600 treatment and recovery beds at over 300 health authority and community care facilities. Budget 2025 provides more than $500 million over the fiscal plan to support and sustain addictions treatment and recovery programs established through previous budgets. Notice support and sustain established through previous budgets. Let's be clear, this budget does not add a single new treatment bed, not a single one.
According to BC Emergency Health Services, in 2023, overdose and poisoning calls were up 25% from the previous year at 42,172 calls. That number dropped only slightly to 40,543 calls in 2024. Prior to 2016, overdose poisoning calls in BC fluctuated from 10 to 15,000 calls a year. In the Northern Health Region, BC EHS responded to 913 calls in 2016. That number has climbed year over year, and in 2024, BC EHS responded to 3,432 overdose poisoning calls. Since the public health emergency for toxic drugs was declared in 2016, BC EHS has seen a 110% total increase in annual overdose poisoning events.
This year alone, BC is set to spend $30 million on homeless encampment response teams, double the amount allocated for small business tax relief.
Rattay alleges the government is prioritizing bureaucracy over economic recovery while ignoring the root causes of homelessness and addiction.
Of the 458 deaths recorded among unhoused individuals in 2023, 86% were due to accidental drug toxicity. Nearly half of those who died were unsheltered men. The government claims to be addressing this crisis, yet there is no expansion of treatment beds and no funding for long-term recovery programs. Their failure to act is costing lives.
For CFTK-TV News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
We now move to the currently ongoing process of saying goodbye to a longtime staple of the Northwest landscape. Demolition began on the Old Mills Memorial Hospital recently, and CFTK-TV was there on site to see it start. Jaylene Matthews, yet again, has more information.
Despite dealing with pushback from some community groups, the demolition of the Mills Memorial Hospital did begin today.
The end of an era and the beginning of a new one as the excavator begins to plow through the 60-year-old structure. Although there was some pushback from community groups on the viability of repurposing the Old Mills Memorial Hospital,
I feel like we're not being fiscally responsible with tax dollars. I think we're throwing tax money into landfills. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
ultimately it was deemed that the building itself was not salvageable. A hospital representative did tell CFTK-TV that any useful equipment, including the CT scanner, was removed and repurposed from the building. The new hospital is more than twice the size of the previous facility and has 82 beds, private rooms, a bigger emergency department space, including 2 trauma bays, 6 stretcher bays, pediatric care space, and 4 operating rooms, as well as the latest diagnostic imaging equipment. Northern Health states demolition will make way for much-needed parking. For CFTK-TV News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
Back in February, the Terrace RCMP got some information that helped them with a drug trafficking investigation that saw them looking into a residence on Keith Avenue. And only a few days ago, Terrace's Crime Reduction Unit executed a search warrant on that residence, and they ended up arresting a total of 7 people at the scene. The unit also ended up seizing items like suspected cocaine, prohibited firearms, ammunition, rifle magazines, along with several other unspecified weapons. All of the individuals that were arrested at the residence later got released, but this investigation is still ongoing at this point in time, and the Terrace RCMP are forwarding all of the results of their current investigation that they've accumulated to Crown Counsel so that they could consider charges. And the City of Terrace also recently announced that improvements will be coming to the Wolfpack Trail that is located on Terrace Mountain. As a means of improving safety as well as the general experience of hiking on the trail, Terrace will be working with several partners to separate sections of the trail so that people who use it for hiking and others who use it for biking can do so without the worry of getting in each other's way. Other parts of the work being done should include the addition of signage alongside some upgrades that will be done to the Johnstone trailhead. And ever since several sculptures imitating a pack of wolves were added to the trail, its popularity has increased, further emphasizing the importance of making sure everyone is safe when interacting with the trail. The Buy Canadian movement has been beneficial for a food bank in Nanaimo, which has been flooded with hundreds of kilograms of excess American produce. Loaves and Fish's Community Food Bank Executive Director Peter Sinclair stated that the food bank is accepting surplus or unsold items from grocery stores and wholesalers. Sinclair also said their warehouse manager estimates they had a bump of about 400 kilograms of U.S. produce as BC residents searched for more Canadian products. The boom lasted for about 5 weeks before it began trailing off last week, something Sinclair last said may be due to retailers adjusting their purchasing patterns. After the break, some young Prince Rupert hockey players got to experience something that they'll likely never forget. Welcome back. MLA for North Coast Haida-Gwaii, Tamara Davidson, has announced some new funding that will be going to several local fire departments located on the North Coast. 3 different volunteer fire departments will end up on the receiving end of these funds, with the headliner being the Heiltsuk Fire Department getting $40,000 to bolster their equipment supply. The other 2 departments that are also set to get funds are the Masset Volunteer Fire Department and the Tallel Volunteer Fire Department. At a recent special council meeting, the District of Kitimat Council was shown a presentation that showed a gap analysis report of their ongoing development approvals process. The report went on to inform the council that there were some discoveries that should help the district make improvements to their future development processes. Another report that should be even more in-depth is set to come sometime in the near future as well. The meeting also saw the council put forward a motion involving the North Central Local Government Association's annual general meeting that will advocate for the BC government to opt into a program called the Speculation and Vacancy Tax Program. And if the association accepts the motion, it will be submitted to the Union of BC Municipalities to see if they'll endorse it to the provincial government. The town of Smithers has announced that they have officially adopted their half-decade-long economic development plan that is set to cover the town from 2025 until 2030 at a recent town council meeting. This plan was able to come together due to funding from the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program from the BC government. The plan also contains 5 main goals that Smithers will look to achieve in the next 5 years, and they include pursuing economic diversification, improving business retention and undergoing expansion, securing additional land supply, and enabling land-based investment, while also enhancing health services, housing diversity, recreation amenity, and placemaking. The entirety of the extensive 5-year plan, including a full breakdown of all of their goals, can be seen on the Town of Smithers website. Back in late October of last year, the Smithers RCMP put out a request looking for help from the public to find a man named Jonathan Wilson that was wanted at the time. And after a search that lasted several months, the Smithers Police Force discovered Wilson when they executed a search warrant at a residence in Fort Babine. Wilson was arrested at the scene and he has since been charged with obstructing a peace officer, forcible confinement, failing to comply with a probation order, failing to comply with an undertaking, as well as assault by choking. Wilson is still in custody as he currently awaits a future court date. According to the BC Ministry of Citizen Services, it was revealed that residents in Fort Babine now have access to both high-speed internet and expanded cell services. Due to cellular infrastructure that was both built and operated by TELUS, 47 households in Fort Babine now can access high-speed internet services. These services will allow for better cellular connections for a nearly 6-kilometer stretch of Fort Babine Road that is adjacent with Lake Babine. TELUS committed over $230,000 of their own money to this project, and the province of BC put forth over $2 million towards it as well. Those funds add to the around $584 million that the provincial government has used to expand connectivity throughout BC. Still to come, the Central Interior Hockey League season recently came to a close. Welcome back. And now turning to the hockey world for a bit, the new logistics partner of the Vancouver Canucks recently gave some young local hockey players an experience that they'll most likely never forget.
Over the weekend, some young kids from the city of Prince Rupert got to experience something that very few people get to do in their lifetime and attend a National Hockey League game with VIP privileges. An under-11 development hockey team called the Prince Rupert Seawolves were invited to attend a game between the Vancouver Canucks and the Chicago Blackhawks that took place this past Saturday, which generated quite a bit of excitement among the team and their coaching staff prior to the game.
Yeah, I think all the kids are super excited in the whole division, and I know the coaches are pretty pumped as well, and the parents, and yeah, we really appreciate having the opportunity to do this partnership with DP World and the Vancouver Canucks. It's a huge honor, and yeah, one more sleep, hey boys?
Yeah. One more
sleep.
Just one
They've been
more.
vibrating.
And as part of their VIP experience, the team also got to watch the Canucks morning skate and even meet up with a former Canuck in Darcy Rhoda, who helped the team to its appearance in the 1982 Stanley Cup Final. The opportunity for the Seawolves to have this special kind of experience came as a result of a brand new partnership between the multinational logistics company known as DP World and Canucks Sports and Entertainment, which was put together with some specific goals in mind.
This event underscores DP World's commitment to supporting vibrant communities and fostering connections that go beyond logistics. DP World has key operations in British Columbia, both in Prince Rupert and Vancouver. And together with the Canucks, we look forward to a successful collaboration that champions innovation, community impact, and the love for the game, such as the event with the Prince Rupert Seawolves.
And to cap off the night, the Canucks managed to win convincingly versus the Blackhawks by a score of 6-2. While it hasn't been confirmed if DP World will be offering out this kind of trip on a yearly basis, they are looking at potentially giving this kind of chance to other communities that are home to DP World ports like Nanaimo and even Vancouver itself. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin.
And in local sports now, the Terrace River Kings continued their recent playoff success the previous weekend, adding yet another trophy to their hardware case. Damian Smith of CFTK-TV was there to witness Game 2 of Terrace versus the Quesnel Kangaroos in the finals of the Central Interior Hockey League postseason.
Another successful season for the Terrace River Kings wrapped up this weekend as they found themselves lifting the Cameron Kerr Trophy for the third time in the last 4 seasons. It also happens to be their 4th final appearance in a row, and the only team that had beat them in the finals was the Quesnel Kangaroos, who beat them in a series of 2-1 2 seasons ago in 2023. The home team scored 2 quick goals in the first period to hold a 2-0 lead. Then Mitchell Brown of the Kangaroos cut the lead to within 1, and then Quesnel shortly tied it up on the power play to head into the first intermission. Despite Jacob McLean putting the River Kings back on top, they ran into penalty trouble, allowing 2 power play goals on a double minor, and they were eventually down 4-3 and had to figure out how to come out flying in the third period. And from there, no River King entered the penalty box, and the team knew that they could be the better team 5-on-5.
Yeah, for the most part, it was like take a step back, breathe, we're all right. Mainly stay out of the penalty box. That costed us quite a bit. Get back to 5-on-5 hockey and just see what we can do in the third.
A quick goal from Colin Bell tied the game up, and Mason Ritchie, with 2 minutes left on the clock, scored the game-winning goal with just over 2 minutes left, giving Quesnel only a spare bit of time to send it to overtime. The team locked down on defense and won the title, tying a bow on a historic season and already setting a regular season record in CIHL history. And I wanted to throw the word dynasty around, but I don't think the players wanted to use that word just yet.
Well, not around me, but I'm pretty lucky that I was able to hitch my wagon to an incredible hockey team. And none of this happens without the legacy that the River Kings have carried for my brothers. So this team's pretty incredible to me and my family. This is the second year I got to lift that trophy first, and that could not mean more to me, could not mean more to my family. It's just amazing to be able to hoist it on home ice now in front of a sold-out arena. Just incredible support from the community once again.
They'll have one more shot to continue their success in 2 weeks from now, with the Koi Cup happening in Prince Rupert, and Terrace also happens to be the defending Koi Cup champions. From CFTK-TV, I'm Damian Smith.
And in other local sports news, the Koi Cup tournament schedule has been released, with all of the 4 participants being announced as well. The round robin will start next Tuesday and continue until Thursday night, with the semifinals starting on Friday and then the finals being played on Saturday evening. In terms of the Northwest, the host in the Prince Rupert Rampage will be in action during the evenings in the round robin, and the CIHL champion Terrace River Kings will be playing at 4 p.m. outside of their game against the Rampage on Wednesday night. The other teams from around the province are the Rossland Warriors, who play south of the province, and the Dawson Creek Canucks, who are from the northeast part of British Columbia. The Vanderhoof RCMP has been dealing with several thefts recently, and the thefts in question involved several stolen vehicles that were taken overnight at the Spruce Grove Trailer Park. Vanderhoof's police have detained a pair of suspects in connection with the case, as they were found to be in possession of stolen items. Both suspects eventually got released, with their charges still pending. The Burns Lake RCMP were also called out to Grassy Plains not too long ago, since it was being reported that a firearm had been discharged in the area. 32-year-old Gerald Noth was arrested shortly afterwards and has since been charged with possessing a weapon for a dangerous purpose, assault with a weapon, uttering threats, as well as possessing a firearm without a license. Noth has since been released from police custody after he got conditions that involved a future court date. That wraps up this edition of Week in Review. Make sure to tune in to our regular newscast on Monday at 5, 6, and 11 o'clock here on CFTK-TV. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a good weekend.